What are the solutions to homelessness that actually work? Check this out. Ding the bell, share it with your friends, subscribe to our channel, and leave your comments. Yesterday, we were talking about homelessness in the United States, how much it would cost to solve the homeless problem, somewhere in the neighborhood of $16 to $20 billion a year to house every single homeless person in America, how Utah gave homeless people housing. It was a program that ran for about 2 years. They dropped their homeless rate by 91%. They've since dialed that back in the face of budget cuts and increasing rents in Salt Lake City, and thus homelessness is going back up again in Utah. So we know what works and what doesn't work, apparently. But, you know, there are individuals out there and organizations that are working really hard to solve or at least mitigate the harms of homelessness. And one of the really cool ones are the folks, Rob and Trigger, over at humbledesign.org, spelled just like it sounds, humbledesign.org. Robin, and they're also the co-hosts of the Welcome Home Saturday morning show on the CW network. Rob and Trigger, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having us. We're huge fans.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm fans of the work that you're doing. The Twitter handle, by the way, is also at Humble Design. So whichever one of you wants to go first, tell us, what is it that you're doing? How have you helped over 1,265 families since 2009, and how did this get started?
It's really simple. Basically, what we do is we take all the furniture out there that people are willing to donate, and we use it to furnish homes for families who are leaving homeless shelters. Right now in our country, families who are leaving homeless shelters have about a 50% chance of going back into the shelter within 12 months. With our program, it's only about 1%, and that all comes down to dignity and pride of your home.
Isn't this because, people lose everything, they end up in a homeless shelter, and then they get out of the homeless shelter, they get housing somehow, and they don't have furniture, they don't have bedding, they don't have rugs, they've got nothing basically except the clothes on their back, and acquiring those things requires a certain amount of money, which they have to then take away from other necessities of life, whether it be medical care or rent or whatever. Am I accurately characterizing how this happens and why you've identified this as a particular pressure point where you can have a huge impact with a small amount of activity?
Yeah, so really when people leave a homeless shelter, they don't have any means at all from where they left. This is the last place you want to be. Thank goodness homeless shelters exist, but you've exhausted all your options. You don't have any money left to put everything that you've ever collected or all your furniture into storage. You have no money left over for anything. So really, everything that you've ever gathered your entire life goes to the curb. Your landlord, when you're evicted or when you're put out or when you leave a friend's house, it all goes to the curb, only what you can carry into the homeless shelter. Wow. So when you finally do find housing, you're often sleeping on the floor with your children. You have no place to eat, no place to put away your clothes. Every day seems overwhelming and daunting and, frankly, pretty depressing.
Yeah, it's a day-to-day survival mode that we found that they're in. And when Humble Design is able to come in and in one day give them an entire home, not just furnishings, but showing that we care and love and listen to what they need and personalize the home with our designers, that changes from survival mode and they can get into planning mode.
That is really cool. So when people support your work, first of all, you started out regional and you've now gone national. Tell us about that. And then secondly, when people support your work, if they go to humbledesign.org, obviously people can make financial contributions, but you also accept contributions. In fact, you started out, I believe, accepting contributions of furniture and clothing and things like that.
Yes. So any kind of furniture we take, also every donation goes directly to the program. Rob and I have been volunteers since the very beginning. So our organization runs very tight ship because we don't have to pay our CEOs. But really what it comes down to is every person in this country deserves a sense of dignity and pride in their home. And what we found was this particular niche in the homeless sector didn't exist as part of wraparound services nationwide. The services that collect furniture usually resell them to pay for programming. So we were shocked when we first started this organization that there wasn't one, not only in Detroit, but nationwide, that actually connected families in need with the furniture that was out there. And trust me, there is so much furniture out there. It is overwhelming the amount of furniture that each of our organizations collect. We can't place it all. And so what we have to do is connect that bridge between the furniture out there and the people who need it. And if it goes to waste, then that is really a shame and a breakdown of our system.
So how do you... Go ahead.
Well, you asked about national expansion and how that happened. We started in Detroit in 2009, and some amazing donors have helped the program go all the way, and the community has come together to support it. U-Haul came in and we were able to meet with them, and they loved what we were doing as well. They donated a truck to start the relationship, but then moved from there and helped us with warehousing in Chicago. We found support as well from CB2 in Chicago. And then we got connected with Microsoft and the Schultz Family Foundation in Seattle that helped us out. And then San Diego, which is Trigger's hometown, we're able to open up here as well with the help of U-Haul as well as community donations. So it really has been between community and corporations we've been able to begin to move across the country.
And the city of Seattle made an investment and gave us a space as well. So cities are noticing that we're saving the city's money by keeping families out of the revolving door of homelessness and investing in us as well.
How and why did you guys start this?
I started this in 2009. I had moved to Detroit, and I started volunteering at a nonprofit, and I made friends with the woman at the front desk, and we had a lot in common, kids the same age. And sitting across from her one day, she confided in me that she had slept in the homeless shelter last night. And I just about fell out of my chair.
Wow.
I had never been confronted face to face with somebody who was struggling that much, somebody who had a full-time job. People in this country now have 2 jobs and are still homeless. And that broke my heart. So when she found housing and I went to go visit her in it, I broke my heart again to see her and her children making nests on the floor with their coats. I knew how much excess I had in my own house, and I knew how much excess was in my neighborhood. And I started making friends with people in my neighborhood by asking them if I could come up, pick up their extra stuff with my friend Anna in our pickup truck. And I soon became known as the furniture lady.
Trigger was pretty amazing to, not just start this as a project for one friend, but then went beyond that and started to use our garage like many companies start. We went from a 2-car garage to a no-car garage. But Humble Design began there. And then Trigger and I looked at each other and said, well, maybe this is our purpose in life. And there's an opportunity here to start something. And so we made a small investment in a small warehouse and got a couple employees, and then started to work with the community to raise funds to help pay for those employees. And from there, we've been able to create a sustaining model that continues to grow. And out of right now, we have
45 employees and 4 locations working on 5.
And most importantly, we're doing 5 homes a week across the country. Every week, a family, a veteran, or an individual is getting into a beautiful home to restart their lives.
Wow, this is amazing. I'm assuming, you guys started this without any, institutional infrastructure. It wasn't like, Community Chest or Volunteers for America or the Red Cross came to you and said, here, we'd like you to do this. You obviously saw a need and met it. I'm guessing that there are other similar groups and people across the country who are doing what they can with regard to homelessness or many of the problems that are associated with it, lack of access to food, lack of access to health care, things like that. Is there any kind of an umbrella organization, a message board where you hang out, a group that has annual conferences, a publication, anything that brings together people who are doing this kind of work, or are you kind of all on your own out there?
We try so hard. We really do. And we're all getting together because we all feel like the need for good news right now, the need for people to get together. And the nonprofits in this country are carrying a lot of the load, more so every year. And then, there are laws passed where nonprofits people are not encouraged to donate to nonprofits as much. They don't get as much off their taxes anymore. So we're all struggling. But at the same time, we all have message boards and we all do go to conferences, but not in a collective, really organized way. It's kind of hodgepodge. It's not, we're not a government entity. We're not run, and we have enough issues right now running our own organizations. We're all trying to pay the bills and make ends meet. But we do have furniture banks that meet on Facebook, and we do have nonprofit organizations that get together to bring nonprofits together in each city. We really try and participate in those because we're all working towards one collective goal, which is basically to alleviate the suffering that we see around.